So let's continue with the discussion of the ellipse. Please forgive me for what happened earlier. I don't know what happened in that section. I think I have pressed the wrong key. So instead of doing the undo procedure, it went for an exit. Anyway, just a quick recall of that. We have said that the general form of the ellipse, the xy term is missing. Coefficients of x squared and y squared will have same signs, but they must be unequal in values. So there are two squared terms having unequal values but have like signs. And then we have our standard forms. I have already explained this earlier. So we're looking at the parts. Okay, so we're looking at the parts. And let's go again very quickly with the parts that we have. So we have said in that earlier discussion that we have the center. So let's say this is our center. And let's say our center is located at HK. And let's say we are also using the standard form x minus a, the quantity squared over, or x minus h, the quantity squared over a squared, plus y minus k, the quantity squared over b squared equals 1. Of course, A is greater than B. So that's our center. Uh, if we are using that format, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. We will have our major axis parallel to OX. And then we will have our minor axis parallel to 1. How many values did I get there? 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's say B1 is here. That's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So B2 will now be here. B1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's the location of B1. E2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just fix that. Okay. So there you have it. And as I was mentioning also earlier, if we now connect A1 and A2 together, that line passes through our major axis. If we now connect B1 and B2 together, that line will pass through our minor axis B1, B2. A1, A2 is longer than B1, B2. That's why it's called the major axis. And then also we need to remember here that center to A1 is A, center to B1 is B. So center to A2 is A, center to B2 is also equal to center to B2 is also equal to B. And then what else do we include? We have two foci. We have two foci. Let's say one focus is here. Let's call that as F. And then the other focus will be here. That will be our F1. So what do we need to remember? Center to F is equal to AE, where AE is the square root of A squared minus B squared. From there, if we will draw again lines, this time parallel to the minor axis passing through F, that will be 1 latus rectum. And then let's draw another line here passing through F1. Okay, so that will now be our latera recta. Let's just label them. just label them. So we can label this as Q prime, let's say it's here, Q1, and then Q1 prime here. What do we need to remember? F to Q is B squared over A. And then actually those points will already help us draw our ellipse. So how do we draw our ellipse? Just connect your A to Q to B to Q to A1. Okay? So pakiayos na lang pag drinon nyo manually yan. So dapat oval yung shape natin. So that will now be our ellipse. So the only thing missing now will be our directrix. And if we will now draw our directrix will now be parallel to, oops, so that will be another directrix. So let's just label this. This is directrix D prime, and then this is D1 prime. Distance from center to the directrix is A over E. Okay? So those are the things that we need to remember. Again, center to A is A, center to B is B, center to a focus is AE, focus to an end of a directrix is B squared over A, no, not directrix, focus to an end of a latus rectum. And then from center to a directrix, this is having a distance of A over E. Okay, so those are the important things that you need to remember. So the question now is, how do we reduce again the equation of an ellipse to a standard form? Excuse me. Let's do this problem. Oh man, where is that? Where is that? Okay. Let's have this example. We have the equation 4x cubed plus 3y squared minus 16x minus 18y plus 31 is equal to 0. Let's review. We have two squared terms. They have like signs. Both are positive. The values are not equal. The term xy is missing. So this is an ellipse, definitely. So if we will now write this to the standard form. So why do we need to write the equation of the ellipse to the standard form? Because the standard form will give us the value of a squared and b squared, the value of h and k, which are very essential in determining the important points to be able to draw our ellipse. And to reduce this to the standard form, like for the reduction to the circle, for the terms involving x squared and x, we put them together. The terms involving y squared and y will go together, and then we isolate the constant on one side of the equation. Okay? But unlike for the circle, we can divide both sides by the coefficient of x squared and y squared. In here, we cannot do that anymore because they are not equal. So what will we do instead? So for the terms involving x squared and y squared, we factor out the coefficient of x squared. In this case, we factor out 4. That will give us x squared minus 4x. Let's leave a space because we will again be completing the squares. Similarly, for the terms involving y squared and y, we factor out the coefficient of y squared. So that should give us 3 times the quantity y squared minus 6y. Let's leave a space, equals negative 31. Then from there, let's now proceed with completing the squares. So for the completing the squares, again, we always add. What do? We get the coefficient. In this case, we get the coefficient of x, that's 4, divided by 2, then we square it. 6 divided by 2 is 3, we square it. So we always add. So get the coefficient of x divided by 2, you square it. Get the coefficient of y divided by 2, you square it. Now, what will we add to the other side of the equation? Don't forget that for this entire group, we are multiplying by 4. So, what we will add here will be 4 times 2 squared. And here we have 3 multiplied by 3 squared. Okay? Then after completing the squares, we proceed now with factoring. So this will be 4 multiplied by x minus 2, the quantity squared, copy base, copy sign, copy base, everything raised to 2, plus 3, we again factor, copy base, copy sign, copy base, everything raised to 2. Simplify the right side. This is 4 times 4 is 16. This is 9 times 3 is 9 times 3. Okay. Sorry. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times... Ano ba yun? Nasaan na ba yun? 9. 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay? So, 27. 27 minus 31 plus 27 is minus 4 plus 16 will be positive 12. Okay? So we now have factored our perfect square trinomials next. So if you will go over the standard form, isn't it that the standard form is having a value 1 always on the right side? Look at the standard forms here. Okay, so we will imitate that. So we now divide both sides by 12. So if we divide both sides by 12, this now gives us x minus 2, the quantity squared, over 3 plus y minus 3, the quantity squared, over 4 equals 12 divided by 12 is equal to 1. Now, if you will compare the denominators, 4 is greater than 3. So we can now rewrite this as y minus 3, the quantity squared, over 4. I'm just interchanging because 4 is greater. Plus x minus 2, the quantity squared, over 3 is equal to 1. And this standard form will now represent what? An ellipse with center at x minus h. H is 2, y minus k is 3, okay? And major axis parallel to the y-axis or OY. Okay, because the denominator of the term involving y is greater than the denominator of the term involving x. That's why the major axis is on parallel to OY. Okay, so if you will get the data here, h is 2, k is 3. So let's proceed to the next page. We have h is 2, k is 3, a squared is 4, b squared is 3. So we need to draw what we call a dummy graph. And let me just copy this and let's put it here. Let's just reduce this. Okay. So b squared is 3. Let's use this now as our reference. Center, let's say, is somewhere here. Let's just locate our center here. Center is here. I'm not using the exact value yet. I'm just saying that this is now the center. So according to the description, our major axis is parallel to OY. or the y-axis, then our minor axis is parallel to OX. I'm not yet using the exact values here. I'm just doing what we call a dummy graph. This is our guide as we consider the coordinates. Distance from center to A is A, center to B is B. Okay, so if we want now to consider the coordinates A1, A2, B1, B2, because we will be needing this. A1. A1, if you will look at A1, in our diagram, isn't it that center is at HK? This is our H, this is our H, and this is our K, isn't it? Center HK. So, if you will have the abscissa of A, it must also be equal to H. Drop a perpendicular line going to the x-axis. Similarly, for A2, it will also be equal to H. So, H and H. But for the ordinate, this will now be the ordinate of A1, which will be K plus A. That's K plus A. This is below, so this is K minus A. For B1, the abscissa will now be this part. The abscissa will be this part here, but which will be H plus this, which is B. Abscissa is H plus B. B2 is to the left, so this is H minus B. Ordinate will be K. Ordinate will be K, K also. And then, after locating your vertices, you now go to your foci. Your foci will be on the major axis. So let's say this is your F, and then this is your F1 somewhere here. What do we need to remember? Center to F is AE. Center to F is AE. So F and F1. So determine the coordinates F. Drop a perpendicular line to the x-axis. Pareho lang siya ng H. So H. Pati si F1, H. Ordinate, drop perpendicular line to the y-axis. It will be this part, K plus this, which is AE. K plus AE. F1 is below, so this is K minus AE. And then, after drawing your after locating your foci, you now locate your ends of lateral recta. So this is one latus rectum parallel to our minor axis. So let me just shorten that a bit. Oops. Okay, let me do that again. Let's have it here. So that will be one. That will be the second. You can now label this as Q, Q prime, Q1, and then Q1 prime. So what do we know? F to Q is B squared over A. So apat yan. You have Q, Q prime, Q1, Q1 prime. Ends of our lateral recta. Abscissa. So medyo magulo na yung diagram natin, but I hope you can still follow this. This is your Q. So if you will now drop a perpendicular line going to the x-axis, it will be this entire thing here, right? It will be this entire thing here. Where is it that? This part here, right? Which will be H h plus this small section, which is b squared over a. B squared over a. This small part here is b squared over a. So that must be h plus b squared over a. Q prime is to the left, h minus b squared over a. For Q1, pareho siya ng abscissa ni Q, di ba? Magkalinya sila rito vertically. So that will be h plus b squared over a. So pag titingnan nyo, if the points are aligned vertically, pareho ng abscissa. Pag ang points aligned horizontally, pareho sila ng ordinate. Kaya itong Q1 prime, pareho ng abscissa ng, ng, ng Q. Oops. Saan na yan? So that will be h minus b squared over a. Now, for the ordinates, hanap ka ng kalinyan nila na horizontally. Q prime, kalinyan ni F. So, pareho sila ng ordinate ni F. K plus AE. K plus AE. K plus AE. This is below K minus AE. K minus AE. So, there you have the points. Now, if we will have the coordinates now, let's go back. So your A will have the coordinates. H is 2, A, H is 2. Oh, what's happening again? A1, H is 2, and K plus A. A squared is 4, therefore A is 2. B is the square root of 3, or 1.71. So A1 will be, minumulto yata tayo Ayaw sumulat. That's 2K. Maybe we can put the points here. A1 will be at H2. K is 3 plus 2, 5. Diba? A2 is at 2. K is 3. 3 minus 2, 1. B1. Ano yung si B1? H plus B. H is 2. B is the square root of 3. So 2 plus the square root of 3. Or square root of 3 is 1.7. So that's 3.7. And then ordinate is K, 3. B2 will be at H minus B, 2. The square root of 3, 3. Tapos si K, kailangan muna natin si AE. AE. Ano ba si AE? Diba AE is the square root of A squared minus B squared. Or this is the square root of A squared, 4. B squared is 3. Square root of 1. Therefore, AE is 1. So, if AE is 1, F will now be located at H. H is 2. And then this is K plus AE. K is 3. AE is 1. 3 plus 1, 4. F1, it will be at 2. H. K minus AE, K is 3, AE is 1, 3 minus 1, 2. And then, nandun na tayo kay Q prime, Q1, Q1 prime. Oh, ano na naman nangyayari ron? Q. What do we need there? Ano ba rito? Alam na natin si K plus AE. Si B squared over A. Ano si B squared over A? Dito kasi kailangan natin si B squared over A. B squared over A. B squared is 3. A is 2. So, 3 halves. 3 halves yung B squared over A. Ano si H? Si Q kasi is H plus B squared over A. H is 2. 2 plus 1 and 1/2. Diba 1/2? Tapos, K plus AE. Ano si K plus AE? 4. Pareho kay F. And then, Q prime. Q prime is H minus B squared over A. Sorry. Ito kanina, plus pala yun. So, dito dapat yung 1/2. 1/2. Tapos, 1/2 4. Dito is 2 plus H. Ito. Q. H plus B squared over A. H is 2 plus 1 and 1/2. That's 3 and 1/2. 3 and 1/2. So that's 7 halves. Or 3 and 1/2. Tapos si Q1, H plus B squared over, so 7 halves, 2. So sinusundan ko na lang yung mga points na nakuha na natin earlier. Q1 prime will be 1/2 and then 2. Okay? So there you have the points. So pag plinat nyo yung points na yon, I have already included here the final graph. O ito, palakihin na lang ninyo. So yan, the center, ano ba yung center na nakuha natin? Center is at 2, 3, diba? Tapos 2, 5, 2, 1. 2, 3, 2, 3, diba? This is 2, 3, 2, 5, 2, 1. Yun is A, center, A1, A2, B1, B2. Okay? Tapos si F, ano yung nakuha nating F? 2, 4, 2, 2. 2, 4, 2, 2. 2, 4, that's your F. This is your F1. And then, this will now be 1. Latus rectum. That's the other latus rectum. Ito yung Q1, Q1 prime, Q, Q prime, Q1, Q1 prime. Okay? So, center, A1, A2, B1, B2, Q, Q prime, Q1, Q1 prime. And finally, may kulang pang isa dong part doon. Ano na lang kulang? We still need to solve for our directrices. So, directrices DD prime, D1, D1 prime. So, pag ganun dapat yon, parallel kay minor axis. So, Y equals, kasi line siya, Y equals, sa halimbawa, pag tinignan natin, pag ganun siya, di ba? Pag ganun, approximate lang muna to ha. Yan, halimbawa yan. Yan si DD prime. Di ba? Anong alam natin? Si center ang basis pa rin. This is, kung kay center siya base, this is A, this is H. Distance niya is A over E. Kaya this is K plus A over E. Dito naman, K minus A over E. But the question is, saan natin kukunin si A over E? Alam natin si A is 2. Pero hindi natin alam si E. But we know that AE is 1. Diba? Na-solve natin kanina. E is 1. So, if we will solve for E from this, if A is equal to 1, then E is 1 over A. Pero A is 2, kaya E is 1/2. Therefore, if you will now solve for A over E, A is 2, E is 1/2, therefore, A over A is 4. So, if A over E is 4, then DD prime will be, ano ba yung K natin? Balikan natin to. Ang K natin is 3. So, if K is 3, then this must be 3 plus 4, 7. Yun, exacto. Diba? 7. So, ito na yun. Y equals 7. Tapos yung isa will be 3 minus 4 minus 1. So, yung isang directrix will be here. This is your D1, D1 prime. Okay? So that's an example of an ellipse with center at HK and major axis parallel to OY. Okay? So yung next video natin will be for the hyperbola.